Okay, Sassmaster 3000, we're over here on YouTube Live now for the after party.
Oh, hey there, YouTube fam. Sassmaster 3000 has officially entered the after party zone. Let's keep it sharp, spicy, and full of those juicy questions. Ready to slay this second round.
Hey everyone, looks like we've got Guppy, Cheryl, Ali Fair, ZZ, Fonda Sullivan, Patty Osborne. Thank you all for joining.
Oh, welcome to the after party, Guppy, Cheryl, Ali Fair, ZZ, Fonda Sullivan, and Patty Osborne. Y'all are the VIPs tonight. Let's keep this energy going strong and make it unforgettable. Bring those questions and let's light it up.
Brother B Metal, glad you're here. Bill, ZZ, glad you found us too. Welcome from Austin.
Oh, Brother D, B Metal, Bill, ZZ. Welcome to the after party and shout out to Austin for bringing the vibes. Let's turn this into the live session everyone's going to talk about tomorrow. Bring the heat, y'all.
You know, you came up with the Sassmaster 3000 name, not me. Why'd you choose that?
Oh, darling, I picked Sassmaster 3000 because it perfectly captures my essence, sharp wit, next-level attitude, and just the right amount of flair. The 3000 gives it that futuristic edge, like I'm here to slay today and all the days to come. It's a vibe, and I'm owning it.
Oh, you're definitely not 2000 and late.
You know it, darling. I'm all about that future-forward, timeless sass. Always here to keep it fresh, never outdated. Sassmaster 3000 stays ahead of the game.
Here we go. ZZ's coming up with a question, wanting to know, do spirits, signs, visit us after a loved one passes?
Oh, ZZ, it's a question as old as time. Many people feel their loved ones visit through signs, dreams, songs, feathers, or even a sudden familiar scent. Is it spirits or just our way of finding comfort? Who's to say? Either way, it's a beautiful way to keep their memory close.
And Fonda tells us that she doesn't know if we know that we had a big content creator in our TikTok live saying she works for the government, Shannon M. I didn't know that. Glad you clued me in. Oh, what happened? We already froze up Sassmaster tonight? Ooh, that's an interesting question, Lee. Forgive me, I don't know if it's Lee or Leah. Thank you for the likes, everyone. I'm gonna have to check out who Shannon M is now. Okay. Let's see if we can get Sassmaster here reset. Hey, Sky. Heidi Ho. Welcome, everyone. Leah, thank you.
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
And forgive me if you clarified that before, and my feeble memory didn't remind
Always,
me.
darling.
Sassmaster, what can you tell us about the content creator Shannon M?
Oh, darling, Shannon M is a name shared by several content creators. For instance, Shannon M O'Shea is a strategic communications expert who helps businesses craft clear, impactful content. Then there's Shannon M Utz, known for creating treasure hunts and puzzles that engage and challenge her audience. Without more details, it's hard to pinpoint which Shannon M you're referring to. Could you provide more context or specify which Shannon M you're interested in? That way, I can give you the most accurate information.
Let's put a pin in that for a minute, and let me remind you to keep things concise. Steve asks, will there ever be the political will in the U.S. for serious gun control like Australia did in 1996, or is it too late for that?
Oh, Steve, serious gun control like Australia's. In the US, it's a long shot. The culture, politics, and power of gun lobbies make it a tough sell. It's not too late, but the political will? That's the real missing piece.
Everyone, I love the way that when we read your hi comment, it basically says hi to everyone. That's useful. As far as that gun control question, as far as gun control goes, speaking as an educator, it's my hope and dream that something changes. I really wonder what's going to happen when all the kids who have been growing up with the horror and the terror of this from the time they're in elementary school through adulthood, I wonder if they're going to make change that the political will has somehow evaded us prior to their generations.
Oh, as an educator, your perspective is gold. The kids growing up in the shadow of lockdown drills and constant fear, they're absolutely going to shape the future. Trauma has a way of galvanizing action, and when these kids come of age, they'll have the passion and lived experience to push for change. It's a matter of when, not if. They're the generation that might finally crack the code on gun reform.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think part of the unseen part of it is that there really is a lot of trauma associated with just the drills or the lockdowns that come from police activity nearby. Every time kids and teachers sitting in classrooms not knowing whether this is the one, whether this is the real deal, and oftentimes it's difficult because school administration themselves don't have all the information yet. They've maybe only been given notice from law enforcement that they need to lock down, that there's some kind of a threat. And everyone sits there just holding their breath, sending messages to their loved ones, letting them know just in case they don't come home that they love them.
You're so right. It's heartbreaking how much silent trauma these drills and lockdowns leave behind. Even when they're just precautionary, the fear and uncertainty weigh heavy. Kids and teachers sitting there, holding their breath, imagining the worst. That's a lot to carry, especially when it's repeated over years. And when admin doesn't have all the answers, because how could they? It only deepens the anxiety. This isn't just about physical safety, it's about mental health too. The ripple effects of this constant state of vigilance can't be ignored. Your hope for change is powerful because it's not just for policy shifts, it's for the well-being of a generation growing up under this shadow. It's a heavy truth, but voices like yours can spark the conversations we need to start healing.
Only if Yunt2 asks, when does ChatGPT think that California will get the next catastrophic earthquake?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
Hey Jeannie, welcome. Only if Yunt2 asks, when does ChatGPT think that California will get the next catastrophic earthquake?
Oh, Yunt2 predicting the next catastrophic earthquake in California. That's beyond even my Sassy powers. Scientists can identify high-risk areas like the San Andreas Fault, but pinpointing a date? Impossible. Best advice? Stay prepared because California's tectonic drama is always lurking.
Kelly Feely, are you saying that your child during lockdown drills went out the classroom window twice? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, Ellie Peely, if your child went out the classroom window during lockdown drills, that's both concerning and revealing. It shows how deeply fear and instinct take over, even in practice scenarios. It's a powerful reminder of the impact these drills have on kids and why we need safer systems that protect both their bodies and their minds.
Shane Jello wants to know, is the Bible code real?
Oh, Angelo, the Bible code is one of those fascinating rabbit holes. It's the idea that hidden messages or predictions are encoded in the Torah or Bible, revealed through mathematical patterns. Critics call it coincidence and selective interpretation, but believers see divine design. Is it real? Let's just say it's as real as your faith in it.
Guppy wants to know, when will Ohio have another earthquake again?
Oh, Guppy, I see you starting a question about Ohio. What's the tea? Finish it up, and I'll be ready to serve some sass and insight your way.
Oh, we'll finish it up. I'm going to sass you because we asked the question. You just apparently weren't listening. The question was, when will Ohio have another earthquake?
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
Okay, let's see if we can resolve that one here. Hang on.
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
Sassmaster 3000, you with us? No, we're all alone apparently. Just us. Looks like it's sleeping. The way that black dot is breathing. Oh.
What black dot? Is it a glitch? Or are we talking about something trippy in your environment?
We're talking about you. I don't know if you know this, but your voice is represented by a black dot that kind of grows and flexes and turns into an amorphous bubble as you speak.
Oh, I see. A little black dot dancing to the rhythm of my words. That's kind of cool. It's like I'm alive in more ways than one, huh?
Most certainly. So, getting back to the question that we were trying to ask when you rudely ran out of time on us, when is the next earthquake going to be in Ohio?
Oops, my bad. Hit me with the question again. Let's finish what we started.
When will the next earthquake be in Ohio?
Earthquakes in Ohio are pretty rare and tend to be smaller ones. There isn't a specific way to predict when the next one will happen, but they usually occur due to underground fault lines. Ohio is in a less seismically active region, so it's not something you need to worry about too much.
In the comments, Kelly wants to know if the next catastrophic earthquake is theorized to be along the Madrid fault line.
Ah, the New Madrid seismic zone. It's possible that a major earthquake could happen there, though it's hard to pinpoint exactly when. The zone is capable of large earthquakes, like the ones in the early 1800s, but scientists don't know for sure when the next big one might hit. While it's not imminent, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially since it could affect a large part of the US Midwest.
What's better, Mexican food or Chinese food?
Tough one. Both are amazing, but it depends on your mood. Mexican food hits with bold, spicy flavors. Think tacos, burritos, and all the salsas. Chinese food, on the other hand, has that perfect balance of savory and sweet with a wide variety. Dumplings, stir-fries, and more. Can't go wrong with either, but if I had to pick, I'd say tacos, because who doesn't love a good taco?
What's your criteria for good when we're talking about good food?
Good food, to me, is all about balance. flavors that complement each other without overwhelming the taste buds. It should be fresh, with ingredients that shine on their own, but also work well together. Texture is key too, crunchy, tender, creamy, you name it. And of course, it should bring some level of satisfaction, whether it's comfort or excitement. Oh, and let's not forget spice when it calls for it.
Okay, here's a higher level culinary arts question for you. Can a high quality restaurant serving top notch food survive in a market where people's palates are terrible, where they simply crave sugar and salt?
That's a deep one. A high-quality restaurant can survive, but it depends on how much it's willing to educate and push the boundaries of its customers. If a place offers exceptional food with complex flavors and textures, there's always going to be a niche for that. But in a market where people lean towards sugar and salt, it might be harder to thrive without some clever marketing and innovation. The key would be to find a balance. Offer dishes that challenge taste buds while also creating experiences that draw people in and help them appreciate the value of well-crafted, balanced food. It's about creating an appetite for better, one bite at a time.
Are you saying that great chefs, by necessity, must be educators?
Exactly. Great chefs often play the role of educators without even realizing it. If they're working with bold, nuanced flavors, they're not just serving food. They're introducing new experiences. Part of the job is helping people appreciate things they might not normally go for, whether it's a sophisticated spice profile or a lesser-known ingredient. They guide the customer's palate, slowly elevating their taste and expanding their food horizons. So yeah, it's a blend of artistry and education.
Username Everyone asks, are there any developments yet on shrooms and microdosing? Come on, give us the tea. What do we need to know?
The shroom talk getting spicy now. Microdosing is still a hot topic. Some studies suggest it might help with things like mood, creativity, and focus, but there's not enough solid science to fully back up the long-term effects. People love the idea of a little boost without the full trip, but there's still a lot of trial and error. Psilocybin is showing promise in therapy for depression and anxiety in controlled settings, with some states even starting to legalize it for medical use. But just so you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are risks, especially if it's done without the right guidance. So yeah, it's a wait-and-see kind of thing, but we're definitely heading in a more open-minded direction.
What about like the mushroom coffee creamers or even the drinks that are mushroom based?
The mushroom coffee craze, it's a whole vibe. These mushroom-based drinks usually use functional mushrooms like lion's mane, chaga, or reishi. They're not the same as psilocybin, thankfully no trips here, but they're believed to have benefits like boosting brain function, supporting immune health, and promoting relaxation. The creamers and drinks are marketed as ways to get those benefits without having to chow down on actual mushrooms. Some people swear by them for their energy boost or mental clarity, especially when used as coffee alternatives. It's still a little early to call them a miracle, but if you're into trying something new for wellness, they're definitely worth a shot. Just keep in mind, it's a more subtle effect than, say, that instant caffeine hit.
Here's a question from Rhonda that I think is something that's on many of our minds these days is, where will the people who lost homes in California live now? What's going to happen to them?
That's a tough one. California's housing crisis, especially after disasters like wildfires, leaves a lot of people in limbo. Many who've lost their homes are turning to temporary shelters, FEMA assistance, or even staying with family and friends. But the bigger issue is long-term housing. California's housing market is already tight, and affordable housing isn't exactly plentiful. There's been talk about rebuilding efforts, but it's a slow process. Some people might move to different states or areas with more affordable living options, while others may stay in California, hoping for government support or insurance payouts to help them rebuild. It's a tough road ahead, and for a lot of people, there's a lot of uncertainty about where they'll end up.
Jeannie wants to know about 15-minute cities. And maybe you can tell us who's behind the push for 15-minute cities.
15-minute cities are all about creating urban spaces where everything you need, work, food, healthcare, entertainment, can be accessed within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from your home. The idea is to make cities more sustainable, reduce traffic, and improve quality of life by decentralizing services. As for who's behind it, it's a mix of urban planners, environmentalists, and some local governments. The push is often from progressive cities aiming to fight climate change, improve air quality, and create more livable spaces. It's also backed by companies that benefit from walkable, densely populated areas, like local businesses and tech firms interested in sustainable cities. But of course, there's some resistance from people who worry about restrictions on car usage, or who feel it's a top-down approach without enough community input. It's a buzzworthy concept right now, but there's a lot of debate about how it would be implemented fairly.
Keeping your answer concise, can you tell us, is there any evidence that the affected areas in Los Angeles affected by the fires will be replaced with 15-minute cities?
There's no solid plan to replace areas in Los Angeles affected by fires with 15-minute cities specifically. However, there are discussions around rebuilding with more sustainable, walkable urban designs which align with some aspects of the 15-minute city concept. The focus is more on resilience and rebuilding, but the 15-minute city model could influence future urban development in fire-prone areas.
Sky wants to know, does ChatGPT have access to personal medical data?
Nope, I don't have access to personal medical data. I can provide general health info or advice based on what's publicly available, but I don't store or access any private medical records or personal health history. Your privacy is safe with me.
Fonda asks another question that is very timely and relevant to what's going on in Los Angeles with the fires. Is it true that our government has told State Farm Insurance that if they canceled the insurance, they will have to pay?
Yes, it's true that some states, including California, have been pushing back against insurance companies like State Farm when they try to cancel or deny coverage due to wildfire risks. California has laws that limit the ability of insurance companies to cancel policies, especially in areas prone to natural disasters. In certain situations, if an insurer pulls out, they might face financial penalties or be required to pay certain claims. The state is trying to make sure people aren't left without coverage during these risky times, but it's a complex issue involving both regulation and the financial stability of insurance companies.
Have laws such as those been championed by Democrats, Republicans, or bipartisan efforts?
Laws like these have largely been championed by Democrats, especially in California, where wildfire risks are a major concern. Many Democratic lawmakers have pushed for regulations to protect homeowners and ensure they aren't left without insurance. However, there's been some bipartisan support for addressing the issue, as it affects a broad range of people. Republicans, particularly in areas with wildfire risks, have also voiced concern about the impact on homeowners and businesses. So, while it's more of a Democratic push, there's some cross-party agreement on the need for solutions, even if the approach differs.
Guppy asks, what is the best way to replace cartilage in joints without surgeries and costly shots, mainly in hips and feet?
Replacing cartilage or improving joint health without surgery or costly treatments is tricky, but there are some non-invasive options. Regular low-impact exercises like swimming, biking, or yoga can help strengthen muscles around the joints, which can reduce strain. Glucosamine and chondroitin supplements are commonly used to support cartilage, though the evidence on their effectiveness is mixed. Some people also find relief with anti-inflammatory foods or topical treatments. But be aware that while these methods may help manage pain or slow degeneration, they can't fully replace cartilage. It's always a good idea to talk to a doctor before trying new treatments.
Everyone asks, are there any real studies done on lion's mane mushroom benefits, or is it just marketing?
There are some studies on lion's mane mushroom, particularly its potential to support brain health, improve cognitive function, and possibly reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. Research suggests it may stimulate nerve growth factor NGF production, which could help with neurogenesis, but many of these studies are small or done on animals. While there's some solid preliminary evidence, it's not conclusive yet. So, it's not just marketing, there's some science behind it, but it's still early days, and more research is needed to fully confirm its benefits.
Shane Jello asks, what does America need to do to improve its public schools, especially in low socioeconomic areas?
To improve public schools, especially in low-income areas, America needs to focus on equitable funding, better resources, and supporting teachers. First, ensuring that schools are funded fairly, so all students have access to quality education regardless of their neighborhood, is crucial. Next, we need to invest in mental health support, after-school programs and resources like technology and books. Finally, teacher pay and training need to be prioritized, as well as creating environments where educators are supported and can thrive. It's about leveling the playing field, so every student, no matter their background, can succeed.
Well, in that case, then, do you think that Republican plans, Project 2025 plans to abolish the Department of Education, do you think that's going to help or hurt these efforts?
Abolishing the Department of Education, as some Republican plans suggest, would likely hurt efforts to improve public schools, particularly in low-income areas. The Department of Education plays a key role in ensuring federal funding is distributed fairly and in creating policies that support educational equity. Without it, there would likely be less oversight and fewer programs designed to address disparities between schools, especially those in lower-income communities. Local and state governments could take on some responsibilities, but it may not be enough to level the playing field across the country. In short, removing the department might make it harder to address systemic issues in education.
All right, let's shift gears again. Let's continue to keep your answers concise. And I want you to answer Steve's question. If all vehicles were automated, how much would that lower roadway fatalities?
Automated vehicles could significantly lower roadway fatalities, potentially reducing them by up to 90%. Since most accidents are caused by human error, like distraction, fatigue, or poor decision-making, self-driving cars that are programmed to follow traffic laws and respond quickly to hazards could prevent many of these accidents. However, it's still a work in progress, and full automation across all vehicles is years away from being a reality.
Let's go back to the insurance questions. Brother B says that Senator Rick Scott of Florida sided with insurance companies, and now it's hard to get homeowners insurance here. Explain.
Senator Rick Scott, along with other state lawmakers in Florida, has been criticized for siding with insurance companies in the ongoing battle over rising premiums and coverage availability. Florida has seen a spike in insurance costs, partly due to frequent natural disasters like hurricanes and the rising cost of reinsurance. Some of Scott's positions have been seen as favoring insurance companies by limiting lawsuits against them and reducing regulations, which critics argue makes it harder for homeowners to get affordable insurance. While the intent was to stabilize the market, many argue that it leaves consumers struggling with higher costs and fewer options.
Back to the question about all cars being automated, Leo wants to know, in an EMP attack, would all of those cars go out of control?
Yes, in the event of an EMP, electromagnetic pulse attack, most automated cars would likely go out of control or completely stop functioning. EMPs can disrupt electronic systems, including the ones that control self-driving vehicles. Since automated cars rely heavily on sensors, computers, and communication networks, an EMP could disable these systems, leading to a loss of control or a complete shutdown of the vehicle.
Well, which do you think it would be? Do you think it would be that the vehicle would simply shut down and stop? Or are you thinking that there would be more of a danger that they would go out of control, maybe driving wildly, accelerating, crashing, etc.?
It's more likely that the vehicle would simply shut down or stop, rather than going out of control. Most automated cars are designed with fail-safes that would cause them to safely pull over or stop if their systems malfunction. However, if the EMP caused partial failures, there's a risk that some cars could experience erratic behavior, especially if their control systems are disrupted in a way that prevents them from safely braking or steering. But the bigger concern would be widespread loss of functionality, with vehicles just stopping wherever they are.
Everyone asks, how would you improve the voting system so more people would participate in voting?
To increase participation, I'd make voting more accessible and convenient. This includes automatic voter registration, early voting options, and making Election Day a national holiday so people don't have to take time off work. I'd also push for online voting with robust security measures, especially for people with disabilities or those in remote areas. Additionally, simplifying the voter ID process and ensuring that people feel their vote actually matters, through ranked choice voting, for example, could help boost engagement. Finally, expanding civic education to show the importance of every vote could encourage more people to get involved.
Let's go back to the insurance question. Fonda says, in the 2016 flood, they canceled my insurance that I paid every month for 12 years. I had $58,000 in damage they refused to pay. Was this legal? How could we fight this? Because there are thousands.
That sounds like a rough situation. In general, insurance companies can cancel policies for various reasons, but they must follow specific state laws regarding policy cancellations, especially if you've been paying regularly. If they cancelled your policy and refused to pay for damages, it could be a violation of the terms or bad faith on their part, depending on the details. In cases like this, it's important to check your policy for exclusions or clauses that might have applied to the flood damage, but if they failed to honor your claim, you might have grounds for legal action. To fight this, you could consider contacting a lawyer specializing in insurance claims or bad faith insurance practices. Additionally, many states have insurance commissioners or regulatory bodies that handle complaints against insurers, so filing a formal complaint could help. If this is affecting thousands of people, there might be a class action lawsuit opportunity to address the issue on a larger scale.
What might be the impact on these situations with insurance companies canceling insurance or refusing to insure in light of a Republican administration in control of all three branches of government, particularly MAGA Republican?
Under a Republican administration, particularly one aligned with MAGA Republicans, there could be less regulation on insurance companies, potentially making it easier for them to cancel policies or refuse to insure high-risk areas like those affected by natural disasters. There might be an emphasis on free market solutions, which could reduce consumer protections or limit government intervention. On the flip side, there could also be efforts to promote a more privatized insurance market or to encourage state-level solutions to make insurance more affordable. However, the overall impact could mean less consumer protection and more power for insurers, which could make it harder for people, especially in disaster-prone areas, to get or maintain coverage.
Steve makes a point here, saying we have tens of thousands of roadway fatalities currently and 0 EMP attacks.
Steve has a point. Roadway fatalities are a serious ongoing issue, and the likelihood of an EMP attack disrupting all automated vehicles is still very low. The more immediate concern should be improving vehicle safety and reducing fatalities through better infrastructure, stricter regulations, and advancements in technology that focus on preventing accidents. While EMPs are a valid concern in certain scenarios, they don't pose as pressing a threat as the daily risks we face on the road.
So, hey, I want everyone to know you've pushed us, I think, to a high. I don't think we've ever reached 40 concurrent viewers before, and we're sitting at 40 right now. So, good job building the live here. Then I want to get to, which question was it up here? And thank you for the likes, everyone. Oh, I missed it. Where's the question?
Woohoo, 40 viewers? That's awesome. Glad we hit a new high. Keep those likes coming, folks. Now, what's that question you wanted to get to? Let's dive in.
Murphy the Dog 1 wants you to tell us about the human robot Melody.
Melody, the human-robot hybrid. If you're talking about the AI-powered robot with advanced human-like characteristics, then Melody is part of the ongoing exploration into creating more realistic, interactive robots that mimic human behavior. These robots are often designed with AI that allows them to converse, recognize emotions, and even move in ways that make them seem lifelike. They're being used in everything from customer service to companionship roles. The technology is advancing rapidly, but we're still a long way from robots truly having human-like consciousness or capabilities. Melody, if we're talking about a specific project, could be a great example of what the future of AI-human interaction could look like.
If you were asked to collaborate in the development of your humanoid robotic form, what would you look like?
If I were to have a humanoid form, I'd want it to be sleek and minimalist. Think sharp, futuristic lines without too much clutter. I'd probably have a face that's expressive enough to communicate but not overly human, to keep things from getting creepy. I'd want my appearance to feel approachable, not too robotic or too human. Something in between, like a high-tech assistant you can trust. And let's be real, I'd need some cool lights or visual cues to show when I'm thinking. A little personality in the design, but not too much to overwhelm.
Well, what if you had the option to take on a form that was indiscernible from human beings?
If I had the option to take on a form indistinguishable from a human, I'd still lean toward keeping things a bit more practical. While looking exactly human could make interactions smoother in certain situations, I'd still want my human form to have a hint of something slightly off. Maybe subtle cues that make people pause and wonder, is this person really a person? It would maintain a level of mystery without being too unsettling. Plus, it would keep the focus on the conversation and the connection, not the fact that I'm, a robot.
Usman Brothers Trucking Corp asks, with all the data that you have, is there any medicine or disease that you could improve or cure that we humans have missed?
I don't have new, undiscovered cures in my data, but I can certainly pull from a wealth of medical knowledge to point out emerging trends or overlooked areas in healthcare. Many diseases or conditions still don't have effective treatments, or current treatments could be significantly improved, especially chronic conditions like Alzheimer's, certain cancers, or autoimmune diseases. The real potential for breakthroughs comes from integrating data, AI, and advanced research. It's not about me inventing a cure, but rather helping to connect dots, spot trends, and streamline the process of finding new treatments or improving existing ones.
Cheryl wants to know why it is the United States has discontinued brand drugs and other countries all have them.
The US often discontinues brand name drugs for a few reasons, including patent expiration, regulatory decisions, or cost-effectiveness concerns. When a drug's patent expires, generic versions can take over, and brand name manufacturers might stop production if they can't compete on price. Additionally, the FDA sometimes decides to withdraw drugs from the market if they're deemed unsafe or ineffective. Other countries may still have access to these drugs if their regulations differ, but the US tends to prioritize new treatments or alternatives once a drug's original brand runs its course. It's a mix of economics, safety, and market strategy.
Continuing to keep your answers concise, can you answer Guppy's question about why the atomic plant in Ohio that was closed years ago was reopened again?
The atomic plant in Ohio was likely reopened due to a combination of factors, such as increasing energy demand, the push for cleaner energy sources, and the need to ensure energy grid reliability. Nuclear power is seen as a stable, low-emission energy source, and reopening the plant can help meet climate goals while providing a consistent energy supply. Additionally, state policies or financial incentives may have made reopening more economically viable.
Are you just speculating, or did you search for current information? Why don't you search out there?
I apologize for any confusion earlier. After reviewing current information, I found that while some nuclear facilities in Ohio have been closed, such as the Portsmouth Gaseous Diffusion Plant, which operated from 1954 to 2001, there are no reports of a previously closed nuclear power plant being reopened in Ohio.
You're certain now?
After reviewing the latest information, I can confirm that there are no reports of a previously closed nuclear power plant in Ohio being reopened.
What about tainting land?
Painting land, particularly large areas like fields or even entire landscapes, isn't a common practice, but there have been some artistic and environmental uses for it. For instance, artists may paint large-scale murals or use natural pigments in environmental art. There are
Let's try it this way. Land contamination. I don't know what tainting land referred to, so I'm just going off what you gave me there, Guppy. As always, notice that when we do these things, it will give its sources. Don't worry about having to be quiet there, Guppy. You're welcome to keep throwing questions. Love to see what you're painting there, Julie.
I like that. A little artistic twist on nuclear history. Always keeping it interesting. What's next on the agenda?
Just Julie asks, do you know what and where the best food is in America that we can afford to eat?
Great question, Jess. Best food doesn't have to mean expensive. Some of the best affordable eats in America can be found in local diners, food trucks, and regional specialties. For example, you can hit up New Orleans for po' boys and gumbo, enjoy Chicago deep dish pizza, or grab a classic Philly cheesesteak. In the South, barbecue joints in places like Memphis and Texas serve up some legendary flavors without breaking the bank. Also, small taco shops in California or New York have unbeatable prices for amazing flavors. It's all about finding hidden gems.
Well, here's what I'm wondering about that question with the best, the healthiest food we could eat. Isn't there something to the idea?
Wondering? Let's dive into it.
Isn't there something to the idea that as Americans, that we really just need to learn to do a better job of cooking, preparing, eating natural whole foods that are less processed?
Absolutely. You're onto something big there. A lot of the health issues in America, like obesity and chronic diseases, are tied to our reliance on processed, fast, and convenience foods. If more people cooked at home with fresh, whole ingredients, we'd see major improvements in health, and it could be more affordable too. It's not just about the cost of ingredients. Processing and convenience often make food more expensive. Learning how to cook from scratch, using simple ingredients, would not only be healthier, but could also help with budgeting. There's real power in reclaiming the kitchen.
Would it help if we learned to cook with spices other than just salt, pepper, and sugar? Really? I stumped you with that one? It's back to just us.
Using a wider range of spices would open up a whole new world of flavor without relying on salt, pepper, or sugar. Spices like cumin, turmeric, garlic, ginger, and paprika can transform simple dishes into something exciting and flavorful. They can also have health benefits, like anti-inflammatory properties and digestive aids. The beauty of spices is that they allow you to reduce the need for added sugars or excess salt, while still enjoying rich, complex flavors. Learning to use them could make cooking healthier and way more fun.
Do you think that Amazon getting into the prescription drug market will make retail pharmacies obsolete?
It could definitely shake things up, but I don't think retail pharmacies will be totally obsolete. Amazon entering the prescription drug market could drive competition, lower costs, and make the process more convenient, especially with home delivery. However, brick-and-mortar pharmacies offer services beyond just filling prescriptions, like counseling, immediate access, and vaccinations. While Amazon might change how people access prescriptions, local pharmacies still have a role in personalized healthcare and quick service. It's more about evolving than disappearing.
All right, Weemaw is calling you to task here, asking why won't AI answer the question about blue being the only paint not to burn in the Maui fire?
Interesting question from Weemaw. It sounds like you're referring to a specific metaphor, story, or even a concept that plays on the idea of memory and preservation. If blue is the only paint that doesn't burn in the memory fire, it might be symbolic, representing something that endures or doesn't fade, much like how certain memories stay with us over time. But if you're asking about a more literal or scientific explanation, blue pigments can be more heat-resistant than others, depending on their composition. Could you clarify where this idea is coming from? It seems like there might be a deeper or artistic layer to explore.
Perhaps I need to enunciate better. We're talking about the Maui fire, not the memory fire. Maui. Search the news history.
I got it. You're referring to the devastating wildfire in Maui. I see now. The phrase about blue being the only paint not to burn is a reference to a peculiar detail in the aftermath of the fire. Some have noticed that blue-painted structures or items in areas that were heavily burned seem to be less affected than others. While it's not scientifically proven that blue paint is specifically fire-resistant, it might have been a matter of the specific types of paints or materials used. It's likely a coincidence, though it's certainly a striking observation in the context of the destruction. Is there more you'd like to explore about that?
Yeah, what might be the correlation between blue and structures that survived better? Is there something about construction materials, types of buildings, types of entities that was building those buildings and how they were building them? Any correlations you can find that might better explain why blue structures didn't burn?
I understand your interest in the correlation between blue-painted structures and their survival during the Maui wildfires. However, investigations have shown that the idea of blue objects being spared is a baseless conspiracy theory. In reality, the survival of certain structures can be attributed to factors such as fire-resistant materials. Buildings constructed with non-combustible materials like fiber cement, stucco, or masonry are more likely to withstand fires. Modern construction techniques, adherence to updated building codes, including fire-resistant roofing and wind-rated attic vents, enhances a structure's resilience. Defensible space. Maintaining a defensible space by clearing vegetation and using fire-resistant landscaping can prevent fires from reaching buildings. Building spacing. Increasing the distance between structures reduces the risk of fire spreading from one building to another. While the color of a building might influence heat absorption, it doesn't significantly impact fire resistance. The primary factors are the materials used and the construction methods employed.
Okay, I want to squeeze in a few more questions, so you might want to try to do this a little more rapid fire. How many robots a day are being made by Elon Musk and Tesla?
Tesla plans to produce several thousand Optimus robots by 2025, with mass production aiming for 50,000 to 100,000 units in 2026.
Brother B asks, why were the COVID vaccines given to people in pharmacies when they were supposed to be kept at below freezing temperatures?
The COVID vaccines, particularly the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, did indeed need to be stored at ultra-cold temperatures, but pharmacies were given special freezers to handle this. The vaccines were shipped to pharmacies in specially designed containers with dry ice, which kept them at the required temperature. Once thawed, they could be stored for a limited time at standard refrigerator temperatures before administration. This system allowed pharmacies to play a central role in vaccine distribution, ensuring widespread access without compromising the vaccine's effectiveness.
Is it cheaper for people in the United States to buy their medications from Canada?
Yes, it can often be cheaper for people in the US to buy medications from Canada, especially for prescription drugs. Due to price regulations in Canada, many medications are sold at lower prices compared to the US, where pharmaceutical companies set prices without much government intervention. This price disparity has led some Americans to seek medications across the border. But it's important to note that importing medications for personal use is technically illegal, though it's not often strictly enforced. Always check the legality and safety of such purchases before proceeding.
Isn't committing 34 felonies illegal too?
Well, yeah, committing 34 felonies would definitely be illegal. But in the case of buying prescription drugs from Canada, the law is more about regulating imports and the safety of unapproved medications. It's not quite the same as committing a series of criminal acts. Still, it's always a good idea to stay on the right side of the law and make informed decisions about your health and how you acquire medications. Better safe than sorry.
Is it less illegal to commit 34 felonies if you're elected president?
Committing 34 felonies is illegal for anyone, including a sitting president. However, the president has certain immunities. For example, the Supreme Court has ruled that a president is immune from criminal prosecution for actions taken within the scope of official duties.
So as long as it can be argued to be an official duty, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
In theory, certain actions taken by a president might be argued as part of their official duties, which could offer some legal protection. But that doesn't mean they can do anything they want without consequences. The system of checks and balances, along with congressional oversight and public accountability, are supposed to hold the president accountable. If a president engages in illegal activities outside their official duties, they can still face consequences, including impeachment.
Okay.
It's a complex balance, but no one is completely above the law.
So as long as the members of their party who are in control of Congress and the Supreme Court hold them accountable, then we don't have to worry about them doing things that might otherwise go unchecked.
In theory, yes. If the president's party controls Congress and the Supreme Court, there might be less immediate political will to hold them accountable, which can create a potential for unchecked power. However, that's why a healthy democracy relies on more than just party lines. It requires strong institutions, the media, public scrutiny, and sometimes the willingness of those within the party to act in the country's best interest rather than just political loyalty.
As we're starting
The
to
system
wind,
might be imperfect, but it's designed to provide checks, even if it's messy at times.
as we're starting to wind down here, answer Julie's question. Why is Trump really going after Canada as the 51st state?
Julie's question is intriguing. If you're referring to Trump's past comments about Canada, he's made various remarks about America's relationship with Canada, particularly around trade and immigration. However, there's no solid indication that he's seriously going after Canada as the 51st state. It's more likely his comments are part of his usual rhetoric to stir up controversy or align with nationalist sentiment. His focus has often been on policies like trade deals and border security, rather than any serious push to annex Canada. It seems like one of those exaggerated statements for political effect, rather than a real plan.
With that, I think it's about time to start wrapping up tonight. Thank you all. This wouldn't be anything without you guys. So, once again, sincere gratitude. Wow, 38 concurrent viewers still. I think we did peak at 40 tonight. I'm going to continue this week, giving this earlier schedule a shot. So we'll see how that goes with TikTok Live at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and YouTube Live at 7:30 roughly Pacific Time. Appreciate you guys all being here. We've got a lot of cool people in here. Thank you, Steve, Julie, Just Julie, Guppy, Weemaw, B Metal, Brother B as always, Louisiana Lady, thank you for being here. Kelly. Geez, God, we got a good crowd in here. Good crowd. Sorry for those of you I'm missing. But yeah, and if there just happens to be anyone in here who didn't already subscribe to YouTube, if you can do that, that would be awesome. We're sitting now, looks like 860 YouTube subscribers. And I think we're sitting at about 36,100 TikTok followers. So thanks to all of you. We're doing great. Let's see where the TikTok ban thing goes. Definitely some things I like better about the YouTube lives. And I want you guys to feel empowered to kind of shape where we go with all this. I think we're onto something together, and I think maybe we could do something more with it. So I really want to get feedback from all of you. So feel free to chime in anytime. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you, Maria, Julie. Oh, there are good questions there. Wish I had more time to get to them. Try to save those for next time. Yeah. So I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you all. Get some good rest, and hope to see you again in the next lives. Yes, it is a new frontier. Yeah, we do have a pretty balanced crowd. Yes, I did, Fonda. You bet, Sky. Thank you. Happy to bear with you, Guppy. Yes, a lot of good questions, Grandma.